Hello, this is Gimme Empathy, a podcast that is ostensibly about talking to people and trying to gain a greater understanding of the human condition and the world around me, but is really just about talking to my musician mates here in Brisbane. Or at least 67.5% of the previous 40 episodes have featured musicians as guests. And I'm not going to break that this episode because this episode features Bec Wilson. Bec is the lead singer in the local band The Bear Hunt. They've been around a few years now, although she's originally from Townsville. I've seen them many times and played on lineups with them many more times. A few weeks ago, I recorded back-to-back podcast episodes with Bec and her fiancé, Lloyd Martin, who also plays guitar in The Bear Hunt. They came over just after having gone to Pilates together, which is a thing the cute engaged couples do, I suppose. And yeah, we record a couple of these. This episode actually starts with me talking about another wedding I went to a few weeks ago of J.M. Dinellan, who is a previous guest on this podcast. So that's the context that this conversation starts in. All right, enjoy this episode with Bec Wilson from The Bear Hunt, number 41. They had like the cutest little DIY photo booth thing. It was just a table with like some chalkboards, some coloured chalk, and then a set of instructions. And it was just like a music stand with a tablet on it. And that was the whole photo booth.
Yeah, right.
And people would just sit on the bench and just push the button on the tablet.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Been to weddings where they have like 10 Polaroid cameras or your instant photo stuff. I'm like, you'd lose that, or people would take off with the photos, so you can't make a collection yourself.
Yeah.
So
what other ideas do you have for your garden wedding?
Well, I've got a celebrant. She's known me my whole life. She's up in Townsville. So I think she'd be really good without putting people to sleep.
Yeah.
And not religious whatsoever. That's another thing. We can't make it gaudy, because Lloyd's not religious whatsoever.
Kind of music?
We don't know. We haven't really planned anything. We don't even have a guest list yet. We're like, we've got 8 months to try and sort something out. Like, Mum talked to me the other day going, have you got invites sorted? And I'm like, can text. Just kind of like call people. I don't know. Make little ransom notes going,
yeah,
you have to come.
cut them out of the newspaper, that kind of thing.
Maybe, yeah.
we have Bec and Lloyd's wedding. You must come to this garden at this time, otherwise we can't get married. Exactly. Our happiness is in your hands.
It's all up to you.
Well, can you tell the story of how Lloyd proposed?
We talked about it earlier this year. We're like, yeah, you want to get married? Well, yeah, all right. Maybe we should. It's been 10 years. But then he did it all officially in Sydney. We went to go see Cat Power in the Opera House, and I'd never actually been in before. Went to go and get some photos in the front of the Harbour Bridge for Granny. I was more concerned about that, and he got down on one knee. So that was really nice.
Oh, that's a nice moment.
And then he took me for wine and oysters, and he can't stand oysters.
Oh.
That's how much he loves me.
Oh. But more importantly, how was Cat Power?
Awesome. I wept through the whole bloody thing.
Was Sian also weeping through the whole thing?
I was right at the back, so it was really hard to see, but the sound was superb. Yeah, they just looked like little figurines from where I was. But yeah, it's more about the music.
And she was doing the whole Moon Pix album, wasn't she?
Yes, and
Yeah.
Lloyd bought me Moon Pix on vinyl for Christmas.
Ah.
So it was just perfect.
And it was like the original band with Mick Harvey and Jim White?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
All original.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a weird story, isn't it? That has a whole career in America, then just like moves to Australia for a year or whatever and falls in with the Dirty Three.
Yeah.
And makes like her best album to date.
I had no idea. And it all just, when I got the vinyl, I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. It wasn't until I went and saw her live, I'm like, oh, duh, yeah, that makes sense. So I was a bit late to the party with Cat Power.
Same. I've only really gotten into her this year. And I'm only up to like the covers record. I think I've been slowly making my way through.
I gave that to
chronologically.
Murray to listen to
Really?
because he was like, I don't understand who you're talking about. So Lloyd gave her the covers one.
What does Murray think of the covers record?
He said he liked a few of them. I can't remember which ones. But yeah, at least he understands what we're talking about.
Speaking of understanding what we're talking about, Bec, how do you know me?
I don't even know where I met you. It must have been when we played a show together when you were Go-Go Fish at the Transcontinental years ago.
Yes.
But yeah, through the radio station, mainly.
I've interviewed the bear hunt.
Yes, you did.
Twice. Once was just Lloyd. The other time it was you and Kate and Linda. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I've lost track.
So when that Transcontinental gig happened, had you just recently moved from Townsville?
That was one of our first Brisbane shows. I was just getting my head around different Brisbane venues, figuring out what was good and what wasn't. That one turned out it wasn't.
Yeah, do they still have gigs at the
I
Transcontinental?
don't think so.
I've never heard of a gig happening there.
No. Well, I remember trying to get 3 bands and they said, no, we need more. So I had you guys, Go-Go Fish, Steady As She Goes, a band called Windrest, us. There was another sort of psychedelic band. So it just ended up being way too long and we were headlining. We ended up playing 2 songs.
Oh.
Yeah.
That
and I
sucks.
just remember busting a gut trying to organise that venue, that show.
So your band's been through a few lineup changes in the last couple of years.
Many times, yeah.
And so I auditioned to play bass for the Bear Hunt last year.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of telling my friend Murray, hi Murray, I know you're listening. I told him that they needed a bass player and he beat me to it. How's Murray been in the band?
He's been good. Breath of fresh air. Brought vibrant life back into the bands as things can waver in bands and get a little bit stagnant and come back again. So he was really brought a good energy to write new stuff.
I knew in particular, because when I auditioned Lloyd, he seemed really enthusiastic at the end. Like, yeah, man, like we're going to see some other people, but yeah, like I think this could be a good thing. But I knew then, like, you haven't met Murray, and you and Murray are going to get on like a fucking house on fire.
They've been like brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that would happen.
They've got a pretty passionate friendship.
Ups and downs.
Yep.
Well, how was I guess a big test is the first time you go on tour with new people, and so you did a tour last year. Mm-hmm. How'd that go?
Yeah, ups and downs.
Yeah.
So where were we? Newcastle first, and that's always a bit of a more misses than hits there. Mm-hmm. But that was really good just as for bonding. And we stuck around there for an extra day because we were Library Siesta were doing a show the following night after we played. So we stuck around and then took Breeze Key and drove down to Sydney. So beat her home. So that one was a bit of a challenging drive. We're all a little bit exhausted, but then we also had the drive from Bendigo to Melbourne.
Wow.
That one, I don't think Lloyd slept for 2 days for that one.
Wow.
Yeah. Old bongs and Bendigo. So that was also a bit of a challenge. And yeah, Murray and I are both horrible snorers. So actually Lloyd sliced his foot open in, I was going to say Glasshouse Mountains, the Blue Mountains. Spent a few nights out there after we played Sydney. And yeah, Lloyd couldn't get a wink of sleep, so I went to go outside, sleep in the van, and because we were snoring the house down. And yeah, sliced his foot, so he couldn't go to Wentworth Falls.
How do you cut his foot?
Just on the garden bed.
Oh.
It was just like, couldn't see, and there was just a trail of blood, and we were just like in a little self-contained unit out in the backyard, and old people were in the main house.
That's not the tour story you want, that you sliced your foot on a garden bed. You want it to be like when someone threw a glass bottle at you while you're on stage or something.
Yeah, but then he had a big leather jacket, and we got him a walking stick in Melbourne. So he had that Negan vibe, getting around people, like giving there's seats to him on trams. Like, don't know whether it's because you're a cripple or you just look really intimidating.
In about the space of a year, talking about lineup changes, so Murray joined, and then less than a year after that, you had Marty join as well on drums.
Yeah.
So you went from a band of being 3 women and Lloyd to you being the only woman. How was that for you?
That's the way we started. I was the only girl with 3 men, boys. That was like 8 years ago. Felt like we get more done with more men in the band.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how, but I just feel nothing against women in general, but we have a lot going on in our minds. We were just thinking about what we got to do when we get home. And I'm not saying that's for every woman, but even myself, just, yeah, it's really hard to hone in on just the music.
And you reckon the boys are less capable of thinking of more things at once, so that when they're in the room, they're really focused on it?
That's what I think.
Right.
Well, maybe they're just better at focusing, or I don't know. They just don't bring their shit in with them from the day.
Interesting. I think I do.
Maybe it's just the individuals. I can't say. Just can't really put my finger on it.
So, Bec, you've chosen some topics today, and we're going to play topic roulette to decide what to talk about. So I've got my hat here.
Yep.
Going to do some the Foley work. Here it goes.
Whee.
All right, pick your first topic.
Relationships.
So you and Lloyd have been together 10 years.
Yeah.
How did you meet?
At the Exchange in Townsville, which was the only music bar. I was at my best mate's 19th birthday and we met in the smokers area.
You've been smoking together ever since.
Yeah, so his mates were trying to pick me up all night, but he was just quiet in the corner. I'm like, no, I quite like the look of him. Here's my number. Oh, no, we didn't even exchange numbers. I just said, yeah, let's meet back here same time tomorrow.
Huh.
Then we exchanged numbers the next night, and I remember one of his texts was, "You're prefect for me." All these messages at like early morning. So I think that needs to be our wedding motto or something.
And what about him made him prefect for you?
It's always the dark, mysterious types, just into very similar music genres. I think that sort of clicked, talking about music straight up.
What were you into at that point?
At that point, I was just listening to a lot of crap. Just Triple J, Triple J, that era, just because it was that or commercial radio. So it was British India. I saw them, one of my first adult shows at the venue in Flinders Street West. Tea Party was another big one. I saw Jeff Martin play a few times in Townsville then. And the obvious is Elliott Smith. I've been listening to him since I was 13, 14.
Did a lot of bands tour through Townsville?
They didn't back then. More so now. When Groove in the Moo came out, we just thought that was the tits. Like, we never had anyone come up to Townsville unless you were like Phil Emanuel or, yeah.
So there was and the oldies would tour, but not Triple J bands?
And we had the Bay City Rollers.
Wow.
Came to Townsville and everyone was going off. I'm like, who? Why should I care? And we had like Guns N' Roses and Korn. They played Korn supporting Guns N' Roses.
Would this have been when it was just Axl, like before he had anyone?
Yeah. He had a guy he looked like he was wearing a wig and a top hat being Slash.
Were you born in Townsville?
Yeah, born and bred.
Was there an urgency to leave when you were young?
Yeah. I never moved house as a kid, not until Lloyd and I moved house together. So, and a lot of my friends who were raised in Townsville were also it's a bit scary moving to the big smoke. And a fair few friends are still there. But it was just more comfortable, but I really wanted to leave at some point. Yeah. We probably stayed a little bit longer than we wanted to, but yeah, we just had to finish some business first.
What business?
Well, Lloyd had to finish, he wanted to finish his apprenticeship.
Oh, okay.
But we're just going to be stuck there forever if he wanted to finish it in Townsville, because a lot of businesses were going bankrupt and, yeah.
What was he studying?
Songwriting.
Ah.
Yeah, which he's still doing.
Ah.
Yeah.
So when did you both decide to move to Brisbane?
Maybe 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
Were you playing music together by then?
Yeah. Yeah, we started Bear Hunt up there. We had a few different drummers. One of them, he never played drums before. He'd give it a crack. He's one of those arseholes that can do everything.
Hate those people.
I know. And then we had Adam, our bass player, up there, really good friend of Lloyd's in high school. But they didn't want to come down, which is fine. They had their own lives, so we brought it down to Brisbane.
Even since you've been in Brisbane, the Bear Hunt sound has changed a bit. What did you sound like when you first started?
Shite.
Like, what kind of shy was influencing you, do you reckon?
What were, I don't know, The Killers. I've been listening to lots of Dead Weather, White Stripes stuff. Well, that corner of music.
Like alternative bluesy influence.
Yeah.
Rock. Yeah.
We wanted to be like bluesy psychedelic, but we
Queens
weren't.
of the Stone Age, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really cool. We had a good kickstart up there. There's well, it's no longer now, but it was a derelict building, an old bank in the Townsville Mall. And there was a few stories. People would rent art spaces for $50 a month.
Wow.
So some people would live there. One level was called the Cot. So we'd have gigs there most weekends. So I'd get a fresh layer of paint by the graph artists up there and new theme every gig. And it was freaking hot. It was like an aircon in the wall sort of thing. But yeah, it was just always steamy no matter what time of the year. And I guess, yeah, that was where the Middle East would have started. Like we played with Joseph Liddy and the Skeleton Horse for one of our first gigs there. There was the Broken Needles, another band that we played with a lot. Very much that Middle Easty vibe as well.
Delicate, folky sort of stuff.
Yeah, really nice stuff. I miss those guys.
How did you go playing in a band with your partner?
Well, I've never been in a band.
Oh, so that's all you ever...
This is my only band.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know any different. I feel sorry for anyone else, but we try not to make it a thing. Like, oh, I'm entitled to behave this way because we're practically married or whatever. That's no excuse.
If you're giving each other like creative feedback or suggestions and stuff, do you ever have to factor in what else is going on in your relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm very guilty of being defensive and working on that a lot lately. And Lloyd has admitted that he was fairly hard on me when we first started, but that's maybe a much better guitar player as well. And yeah, I get really, really nervous. So it was a lot of pressure I felt in the beginning to be able to stand out in front of people and to be vulnerable in front of my partner and strangers all at the same time.
Like specifically when you're performing on stage, or the whole like writing and rehearsing?
All of it, yeah. Even in the practice space, to pretty much bear all with 3 other people, and that one other person is the closest person to you, and you may not have felt ready to expose everything, you know.
So how'd you get through that?
I don't know. Well, I've now discovered yoga and Pilates and lots of exercise. I don't think I really did anything to help. Move to Brisbane. Have a different state of mind.
Is your songwriting pretty personal?
Yes, I reckon it is. Our first EP and album, a lot of that was written about my mother.
Ah.
So a lot of people can take it any way they want, like many songs.
Did you have a difficult relationship?
Yeah, very much. Kind of had a bit of an epiphany when I was, 18, 19, going, mothers don't behave this way, and started to challenge her a bit more. She's certainly improved, but she's had a rough time since I left Townsville. My parents went through divorce, and I had already planned to leave, and it was only, I guess, weeks after we were in the process of leaving, and Dad's like, yeah, I'm going to leave you. I'm like, okay. So, but yeah, she's quite narcissistic and very all about her sort of thing. So those songs were a way of trying to figure her out, or trying to figure out our relationship.
What conclusions did you draw from that eventually?
Well, there's some people you can't change. It's just the way that you deal with it. And there's some people that you can't run away from. But she had eventually figured out some things she needed to improve on, which she is seriously working on at the moment, which is awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to, but like what sort of narcissistic behaviour was?
Oh, a lot of talking down, or saying you're not as good as you think you are sort of talk. And that's where I've discovered I needed to have a lot more self-esteem and confidence in myself. Not that was her intention at all. And she'd be mortified to know that. But, I succeeded in something, so obviously it was because of her and her parenting. Yeah.
So like if you came home and you'd done well on like a spelling test, like how would she react?
Well, that's because we use long words at home. It's because I use this sort of language, or, yeah.
And if you did bad on a test?
It was no big deal. It was okay. My parents didn't expect me or my brother to do fantastic. It was okay to be mediocre, which was good.
And were you a high achiever at school?
I was when I went to a state school from like grade 1 to 4, and then I got sent to a Catholic school from grade 5, and that kind of made me step back going, oh, maybe I'm not top shit, which was really good. So I was always like a B grade student.
What was that culture like at a Townsville Catholic? Was it just a girls' school?
I did eventually go to an all-girls high school, which Linda went to. Right. But before I went there, yeah, I didn't really have many friends just because I didn't like the culture at all. Just, yeah, the whole school spirit thing, and girls were boring at that age. At 13, they just want to sit on their asses, read Dolly magazine and gossip about boys that I didn't know. I just wanted to play handball or soccer.
Is that the thing you've found like beyond high school? Do you have many female friends?
I've never really had too many female friends. And I guess some of the female friends I do would be gay or have experimented. They're just not a girly girl.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, but I guess maybe in the past 2 years or so, I've made a fair few female friends, which is good. Which I thought, is there anyone out there, female, that I can connect with? So.
And are they more girly girls?
Sometimes. I don't know, they might put on makeup. Something you can't really do in North Queensland. I mean, and as you get older, you get away from that bullshit as well.
Well, getting back to Lloyd and the band, the other thing about you two is that you're both the lead people in the band. You're the lead singer in the band, and Lloyd's the lead guitarist. And it's sort of like you don't know where to look, because you're both very good performers, and you're both very like technically skilled at what you do. Did you ever have to have like conversations or discussions about who is it that we're putting forward in this band?
I don't think we've ever had that discussion. When we started, it was really based around guitars, and that's where I ended up just screaming over it all, going, hold on, no one knows what I'm singing. I don't think anyone can hear me. But yeah, boys being boys, going, yeah, got to shred it up. But I think, yeah, it's more of a subconscious sort of thing. We've kind of gone, yeah, maybe we need to like push me forward a little bit more, have a single front person, and Lloyd's just noodling on the side.
Is that something that's more possible with the new material, which is a bit less heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think And I'm feeling more confident in myself that I can front a band, whereas before I needed Lloyd by my side.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any solo stuff or like guested in other bands or
Never.
anything?
Nope.
Would you want to?
Sure. Yeah, it'd always be fun. And I have thought about it. Lloyd's put it to me that I should do something solo or start other bands, so maybe that's something I can look into soon.
I think it's healthy for everyone to have a side project.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you're just working on the same stuff all the time, you're like, is this any good? I don't know. It's like saying the same word over and over. It's like, this doesn't make any sense anymore.
So I see you and Lloyd together in the context of either playing music together or watching music together. You're often out and about on the scene, watching things, which is always good to see. What do you like at home?
I don't know. I don't have any routine because of my work. We've only just moved into an awesome house, so where we're not living on top of each other. So hopefully he'll spend more time in his studio room and, yeah, I don't know.
What's the division of labour like?
I'd like to say 50-50, but no. I used to clean houses when I first moved to Brisbane. I couldn't get much work, so I just figured I may as well be my own boss, and it was really flexible with study as well. Yeah, so I can be a bit anal when it comes to cleaning and domestic stuff.
So you like to do that yourself?
Yeah, I'll say to the boys going, yep, this might need to be done this week at some point, and if it's still sitting there after a couple of days, I'll just do it. It's not annoying anyone else, but it's annoying me, so I may as well do it.
Who cooks?
Mainly me, but Lloyd's working full time. But then not to say that I don't some days, but yeah.
How about emotional labour? Like who's the one who checks in with how things are going on?
I don't know. He does get cranky if I ask him, how you going too much? Or how you feeling? I'd probably check in too much.
I guess like non-specific check-ins can rub some people the wrong way. But like when it says, if there's like a specific thing your partner is like going through or is on their mind, I think they can need a bit of needling to get it out of them. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. It can take Lloyd days, maybe even weeks to go and then sit down and go, well, this is what I've been going through. I'm like, well, that explains why you've had such a shitty outlook on life or been talking to people like shit. So...
Are there things in your relationship you've actively worked on together?
Yep, yeah. So just, active listening, just not talking over each other, which I'm really guilty of. Being able to sit down and not be so judgmental and accuse all the time. And especially, I guess, in my line of work, I need to be practicing what I preach.
So you're a massage therapist?
Yes.
Yes.
I work for a chiropractor, and the boss, he's a bit life coachy, and that rubs off on me as much as I was cynical about it from the get-go.
In what way?
I'm like, this guy's telling me how to live my life. Like, you know nothing about me. Like, you're preaching to your whole staff, and it felt preachy, but yeah, after some recommended reading, I'm like, yeah, you've got a point. It's good to have a good team that's working on self-development stuff, making themselves a better person, not just a better, I don't know, receptionist or whatever.
Right, okay. Yeah, not just like professional development, but actual self-improvement sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so you found you're starting to preach that sort of thing too?
Yeah, definitely, because, it works. It helps you inside and out, and it certainly helped our relationship.
Did you get Lloyd into the yoga and the Pilates?
Yeah, he's only just started it. So that's really good, only because I've found working on myself physically, I've been able to work on stuff mentally as well, working on past stuff.
How do they come together, the physical and the mental things?
Well, I've always been highly strung, highly anxious person, living with my shoulders around my ears. So even just starting on physical stuff, relaxing the body, and then you're able to think a bit more clearly.
Do you have a favourite exercise?
It depends how I'm feeling, but I've got to do at least one session of yin yoga a week. That's just like I call it sloth yoga, just deep stretching for 5 minutes on each area. And it's a form of meditation. So it's all guided. And my dad's always tried to teach me meditation. He's always been new agey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Was your mum new agey?
Nope.
How did that collide in the household?
Dad was more into, meditation and fitness, and Mum was more into socialising and netball.
But would she tolerate it?
Yeah. My dad would be talking about conversations with God and those sorts of books, and no one would understand what he's talking about in the house, but we never told him to shut up or whatever. And it's only until, I guess, the past 6 years I'm like, oh yeah, Dad had a point.
Is there a spiritual aspect to your physical exercise practice?
Not particularly. I don't feel like I'm particularly a spiritual person as much as people think I might be. I just believe in believing in yourself, really. Back yourself.
Do you want to pick another topic?
Yeah. Exercise. We're just talking.
Excellent. What's your current exercise regime?
Well, I've just become a Pilates instructor.
Ah,
So it'll probably be nearly daily. Yeah.
what kind of Pilates do you do?
Reformer, but only because there's more options, more available times to do that.
What is Reformer Pilates? I know nothing about Pilates.
Okay. It was designed by a dude called Joseph Pilates.
Really?
Yep, post-World Wars. And it was used as a rehab for soldiers, which then it was used for dancers in New York. And the reformer machines are like a adaptation of what he did in the hospitals. He put resistance springs on beds, so people that couldn't get out of bed, they could actually do resistant training on the bed. So then that's where they made the machines. So it's a lot easier than doing a workout on the floor using your own body weight. But it's basically designed to tone up muscles that we don't use in everyday life.
If we don't use them, how come we need to tone them up?
Well, then we get instability and we get pain.
Oh, okay.
So you might get back pain.
Oh, so we should be using these muscles.
Yes.
Okay.
We need to be using all our muscles, because then if they don't work, then other muscles will start working too much.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Reformer Pilates, is this, how is this, is this like a branch of Pilates?
There's really only like your reformer Pilates and on the floor mat Pilates.
So this is a new job you're taking on as an instructor?
I guess, yeah, it'll work in part with my massage as well, because I'll work around Newstead, New Farm area. So I won't be afraid to ask for money there.
Are you thinking of taking on classes, individual clients?
Group classes. I'm just doing some training at the moment for that. But again, that's like public speaking. It's overcoming talking in front of people.
Well, yeah, I guess by this point you've been fronting a rock band for years and years. But what's the stress like getting up and having to teach a group of people?
Yeah, because it's like it's another hat I'm wearing. And I'm so used to talking to people one-on-one. I'm more comfortable doing that than talking to a group of people. And it's not like I'm worried about what they think or anything. It's just articulating myself is something I need to work on. And that's where I feel like this job will help me with that.
And it's a different way of getting feedback from a group of people as well. Like you're not having people doing that, saying, like as when you say something, you don't get that constant affirmation from a big group of people because they don't feel like they have the individual responsibility to hold up their end of a conversation. So they could be, looking at the bird outside, maybe checking their phone or just kind of blankly staring off to the space next to your head, that kind of thing. So I guess it must be more difficult to know that you actually have their attention.
Yeah. So just keep asking them questions, keep people engaged.
So is Pilates is that the only exercise you do?
And your deep stretching stuff. But I used to play netball for 14 years. fourth generation netballer, so my family's a bit disappointed I don't do it anymore, but it's a silly sport. You injure yourself too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people I know, like they keep playing sports like after they're 30. And it's like, and they have all these knee injuries, shoulder injuries. Just why?
Yeah, I don't want to have a knee recon in my 40s.
No.
And I'm constantly rolling my ankles. Like, I've rolled my ankles like twice this month already.
Oh, how?
Just unlevel ground. They're just really weak.
Is that like an old injury that's...
Yeah. I spent half my teenage years in crutches.
Oh,
So it felt like that anyways. It was always being rolled, but yeah, it doesn't swell up anymore.
was there like an initial injury when you were young that...
I think it was just doing it all the time, constantly rolling them, and I'd strap them up and have all these different braces and all these contraptions to keep my ankles sturdy, but yeah, just kept happening.
So the one-on-one massage stuff you do, how like what kind of relationship do you have with the client? Because it's a very intimate thing, like touching someone and
Absolutely.
massaging. What do you need to know going in?
Depends on the person, depends what their expectations are. Recently I've had some clients with some profound experiences. So one that I did some dry needling with, just releasing tension in the shoulders, like neck and shoulders. She started crying once the muscles released because there was all this anxiety sitting in there.
Wow.
I know that sounds really dubious, and going, holding tension or past experiences in your body, but yeah, she felt so much better after a good cry and she could move again.
And do you talk to people?
Yeah. Well, they talk to me. I don't really initiate a lot. Might just be like, how's your day going, whatever, and then if it goes quiet, then that's cool. But then quite often they just want to talk. It's a release emotionally and physically. I have people up at the New Farm Clinic, the psych ward up the road, and they come in and get massaged while they're getting sessions, and you can see the way they hold themselves. They might have their shoulders and head rolled forward looking at the ground, and each time they come in they kind of stand up a bit more and then eventually will look at you in the eye when they talk. So
Wow.
just seeing that sort of physical development, it's really cool.
Is posture something you really notice about people just out and about in the world?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. You can tell a lot about someone's confidence, someone that's got their, like I like to say, tits and teeth, and shoulders back, smiling. They're obviously quite confident and know what they're about, whereas if you're slumped over, yeah, you might not be so sure of yourself or other things going on.
I'm sitting on my couch right now. What can you tell about my posture?
You're very relaxed, chilled in your environment.
Without revealing any identifying factors, what's the most like outrageously personal thing someone's shared with you while they're getting a massage?
There's just so many. But then I'm probably a really good person to share secrets with because I'll just forget. I just see so many people. I can't think of one particular one at the moment. You do get clients where if they'll share a secret and I'm like, sure. They'll ask me to share something, and you develop some really good relationships there too.
Have you ever been recognised from your bear hunt singing while giving a massage?
No, but a lot of people do say, are you a singer?
Really?
Yeah. They're like, oh, do you do jazz or blues? Or you've got really a nice raspy voice.
Ah, okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
And you're like, no, I've just been smoking for...
Yeah, I just scream a lot. No.
Yeah. Did you always want to be a massage therapist?
No, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea.
How'd you figure it out?
I was actually at a party and had a bit of an epiphany going, right, I think I know what I want to do. Did some weekend courses and just started to put away money until we moved to the Big Smoke so I could study. I actually met an acupuncturist at the Beetle Bar.
Ah.
I went out by myself one night and met a couple of girls and they told me about Endeavour College and I enrolled the next day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm glad I did.
Can you see yourself doing it indefinitely?
as long as my body can keep up, and that's another reason why I do the yoga and Pilates, is just to look after my body and keep joints and muscles happy so I can keep looking after other people.
Does it need a lot of upper body strength to be a massage therapist?
I don't know, because people always say, oh, you must have strong hands. I'm like, well, maybe I already had strong hands from playing guitar. I don't know. But I've always been muscly even without exercise, thanks to my dad's good genes, I'd like to think. But no, it's just like a bit of a dance. You just use your body weight into some of it. Like I've made some Broncos players cry.
You get
with
Broncos
massage.
players?
I did last year.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're not very good at paying very well. It wasn't worth my while. I'm like, nah, I can look after other people and not get stuffed around.
Is it amazing just to have that kind of beef like in someone's back underneath you to
have like a big Christmas ham.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, oh, that's what I like about it, all different shapes and sizes. And
you never like icked out by anything?
oh, I'm not even grossed out by back pimples anymore. There's some stuff. But we all have our stuff. We all have idiosyncrasies or something gross, and it's just normal.
Is there I think guitarists, like especially tall guitarists, have notoriously bad shoulder and back problems.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something like you notice in other bands, in your own band, something you try and fix when you've got a guitar on?
I don't try and fix any of my friends because, yeah, you don't take any advice from people that are close to you unless you're seeking the advice.
But you're a professional.
It's unsolicited.
So.
Be like, oh, you're not meant to be playing guitar around your knees. Like, straighten up. Like, no, if that's what makes them focus better, then that's okay too.
Do you pick another topic?
Okay. Music.
So you're into some shite when you were younger.
Yes.
And you like Cat Power now, which is very good.
Yeah.
What have been your, top 3 albums of this year so far? It doesn't have to be stuff that's released this year, just stuff you've gotten into.
Well, I haven't stopped listening to Bat Piss.
Yeah?
Rest in Piss. Always good. I've been really bad with music this year because I don't have a CD player anymore, only in my car. A lot of Tropical Fuck Storm, their new album. Really got into that one. Yeah, I keep coming back to the Drones, just listening. Wait by the River. Got into that when I was in year 9 and then started listening to that again this year.
Do you find you tend to listen to music that is similar-ish to the music you make?
Or it's the other way around.
Right, I guess so, yeah. Is there anything you listen to that is wildly different from the Bear Hunt?
Yeah. I guess some of our newest stuff, it is kind of Cat Power-ish in a way. But then, yeah, I'll listen to like some hip-hop or certain dance, but not too much. And, yeah, I just listen to a lot of chill music at work as well.
Do you get to pick your own music at work?
Gosh, yes. I used to work at a clinic and we had to listen to their music and it was just Adele. All the time Adele.
No.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't work here anymore. Your music shit. But no, I just make new playlists every couple of weeks because I've had clients say, oh, we used to go and see someone, we called her Sail Away because they'd just play Enya all the time. Oh. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be that person. And it's also initiates conversation or people discover new music. So I might have like Beach House playing and people are like, who's this? And you have a chat about that. So
do you kind of have to play stuff that's a bit more mellow though and not too heavy?
Yeah, you can. But then I've had one close client, she was going through a rough time. I'm like, so what do you feel like listening to? She's like, something like Slipknot. I'm like, okay, we can do that. And she was also cool. I was showing her lots of local music, so she really listened to Being Jane Lane a lot, that sort of poppy, aggressive punk stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get many requests?
No, I don't think people really care. For some reason, Spotify likes putting in Run the Jewels in some of that we'll pick the music for you sort of playlist.
Oh, well,
so
I mean, that probably just means their record label pays Spotify a bunch of money.
pretty much. I'm like, why does this song keep popping up? This is meant, had like John Hopkins and then Run the Jewels comes on. You're like, what?
How do you listen to music outside of work?
I don't listen to as much music as I would like to, only because I really enjoy silence when I can, especially this new house we're in. It's just so quiet. And because the boys play music in the house, I'm like, maybe I just need to listen to nothing. But I'll, Bluetooth my phone up to the speakers and just look up whatever's going on, or on demand with Triple Z, and listen to the favourite programs. Yeah.
What are your favourite shows?
Well, Unnecessary Knowledge was my first favourite. I was listening to Branko and Cam since I moved to Brisbane, just about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because, I was listening to Modest Mouse and Built to Spill, and they had a really good introduction to that sort of music. Frog and Peach, always good. Alphabet Soup when I am up early enough. Yeah, I really liked the old Friday afternoon shows. Yeah, it's just whenever I'm in the car, I'll just listen to the radio. It's like ever since I moved to Brisbane, I turned on 4ZZZ as we're driving in on a Saturday afternoon, and Lloyd can't stand reggae, and that was the reggae show.
Yeah.
He's like, no, what is this station?
One time I was driving south. I was driving to Yukai, and I wanted to test how far the 4ZZZ transmitter actually goes.
Yeah.
So I had it on all the way down, and I think it goes about 60 k's or so from the middle of Brisbane. I think it was going around like the Gold Coast Airport is where it started getting really scratchy. But all the way down, I was driving down at a time of night when the ska show was on, Ska Trek, and ska, I thought, was my least favorite genre of music. But I figured out I don't actually mind ska that much. It's ska punk that I hate.
Yeah.
And they were just playing normal ska, and it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. I had discovered I can't stand, I love punk, like anarchy music, but I hate the Dead Kennedys.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, I heard their music but didn't know who played it. And then I've put two and two together this year. I'm like, no. For some reason, they just really grate me. I don't know why.
And like, is it all, because they went through a bunch of singers, right?
Yeah.
Is it all the singers, or do
they
you?
all sound the same to me.
Yeah.
It's all that type of punk that have got that inflection at the end as well. You know what I mean?
Like,
I don't want to do it.
do it.
When they go, like that, you know what I mean? Like
Okay,
at the
yeah.
end. That sounds really lame, but
Like they're trying to sound like British oi punks, but they're Americans?
Yeah, it just reminds me of Sesame Street for some reason. There must be some characters on there that talk the same as the Dead Kennedys. I don't know.
Has there been any like one vocalist that's been the most influential on your singing, do you think?
I've never really taken after anyone because I really didn't listen to many female vocalists. I did choir in the all-girls school, and I was told by the conductor I had the biggest balls out of the whole group. And I found it really difficult because I didn't really know many deep-voiced female vocalists. And I'd do singing lessons and the teacher's trying to get us to do Whitney Houston. I'm like, that's not my vocal range. I can't do this. And they just put it down to, well, you can't sing or you're not trying hard enough. So then, again, it comes back to Elliott Smith, where it didn't matter what your vocals were like. It was more emotional stuff. That became more important as I would start writing music.
Is there a songwriter that's been like particularly influential on you?
Yep, Elliott.
Elliott, yeah.
I just study his chords and learn different shapes from there. Neil Young as well. Pixies. Also studied a lot of their chords and chord progressions.
When did you start playing guitar?
When I was about 15, I got a cheap-ass guitar from Artie's. And I played piano a lot in primary school, and most of our music assessment was on the piano. But I just got really bored with that. And one time I tried to do an assignment on the guitar, and the teacher's like, no, you can't play guitar anyways, don't even try. It was that sort of attitude. But I think she got fired the year later for drinking on the job. She was just persistent on playing Rocking the Suburbs by Ben Folds. So I'd like him, but she didn't help.
Oh. Have there been any other artists that have been ruined for you?
Oh,
from some factor that's not the musician's fault?
Yeah, many. I guess a lot of 80s music, even just like Oz rock, because it's been flogged on the radio for the past 40 years or so.
Yeah.
Stuff from the 70s.
Lots of people can't stand Chisel.
Yeah. Lloyd can't stand Jimmy Barnes.
Yeah.
And Murray rocked up to his first practice in
his Barnesy shirt, the working class man one.
Yep.
Yeah. I love Chisel because I think there was a big point where, I think Dad played them a lot when I was little, but then I just didn't really hear much of them for like a good 10 years or so. And then I went to see them with Dad, like shortly after Steve Prestwich died when they did that reunion tour.
Yeah.
And I just got into them as if they were a new band, and they're an amazing band.
Yeah, I was like that with Midnight Oil.
Yeah.
And could actually hear what they were saying, like took the time to listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
But yeah, just this, I'd call it 40O music because that was the station Dad would listen to, and it was just, the same music every day, flogged for 40 years straight.
Yeah.
And then I haven't listened to commercial radio for 6 years, and then going back and listening to some of this stuff, and you're like, it's like a fresh pair of ears.
What's your songwriting process?
It's all about the feel. Either I'll come up, just with a simple chord progression, and I usually follow some lyrics that are pretty much cement with that chord progression and then work around there. But I haven't written too many songs this year, to be honest. Lloyd's written most, but I'm always hanging around the house if he's there working on something and hearing it develop, and I'll usually have some sort of hook or melody in the back of my head. So it's like semi-prepared.
Do you actually sit down and write together?
No.
Yeah.
No, barely. We really just save that time for rehearsal space when we're working with the other two.
Why do you think that is?
I just feel like there's band time and then there's home time. You've got to separate it all. Otherwise, I could just be in a constant state of, stuck in band mode. Well, I know Lloyd does, and sometimes you kind of go, no, you give it a rest.
Shall I pick another topic?
Sure. Oh, mental health.
So how does the physical part of your exercise sort of affect your mental health?
It's one and the same, physical and mental, I find at the moment. I find if I don't have an outlet physically, then I can get really agitated and just a bit restless with life if I don't let it out physically, I guess.
What are some times in your life when that's happened?
There's a handful of times. I think Lloyd and I will just constantly bicker. That's a good indicator. But I found, once we become more physical activity or jumping on the bikes and getting around town, you just feel a lot better about yourself.
When did you first work out that that's what you needed to improve your mental health?
Probably when I was studying massage about 4 years ago. I was always raised with sport and things like that, but really put off by it. You get your sporty kids in high school and what you would call the meats who are just really confident. And
Meats?
Yeah, we'd call them meats. That's not a thing.
As in like
meatheads?
Meatheads, right. Okay, yeah.
And then activewear. Like just seeing everyone wearing activewear, I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people. Just like, look at me. And then realize it's not about what you look like. It's about how you feel with exercise. So, I just had to put that sort of preconceived notion about exercise, and especially in Brisbane, I felt like getting into massage, and then people were like, why don't you do yoga and Pilates? I'm like, well, that looks like a wanker thing. Like, but now you take it however you like. It's like Lloyd saying, oh, do I have to say namaste at the end of yoga? I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to believe in that. Just take the stretchy part from it.
So before you found Pilates, would you often find yourself getting a bit anxious?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, I was living with my shoulders around my ears and just, growing up, if my parents called me, I had to be there when they called me straight away. And I've kind of carried that into adulthood when someone's like, do this. I'm like, oh, shit, no, I can't. Oh, and then I beat myself up, or just certain things from childhood that you kind of carry into adulthood, and you got to work on that.
Do you find you have a hard time saying no to people?
Yes.
Right.
Because I don't want to let anyone down. I want everyone to be happy, but then you need yourself to be happy before you look after anyone else.
In your mind, like, what do you think is going to happen if you say no to people?
Well, then they just won't get their massage. They'll just end up getting more tense. No, don't really think about them, because then sometimes when I do have to say no, then if they really want me, they'll find a way.
Or like if not in a massage booking thing, like if you didn't come as soon as your parents called, or like if you didn't want to do the podcast and you wanted to say no, like what do you?
I'd feel guilty.
Guilty. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
Right. And where does that come from?
I'm still working on that. But then I've written a fair few songs about that sort of thing, and I feel like that helps with my self-development.
What other situations do you find make you anxious?
Certainly big groups of people, because I do have trouble hearing. I did have 3 lots of operations as a child, so it's really hard to focus when there's lots of background noise. And I can get a bit anxious there because I'm like, oh, what are they saying? Am I meant to understand this? And I've never really noticed, because if you want to go and enjoy good music, you have to go out. So it's just a part of it.
What was the issue with your ears when you were young?
Tiny ear holes, scarred eardrums. I remember I had adenoids, tonsils and grommets done all on the one day.
Oh, wow.
And I came home. I got to go to Toy World. I never got new toys. I got a Polly Pocket, and now my dog's called Polly Pocket.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cute. In a not so noisy environment, like a party, say, are you okay socially?
I feel a lot more comfortable then, because then you can get a chance of talking to people one-on-one, less interrupted. Or it's easier. I find it easier now, having a group conversation with 3 or 4 people.
Apart from physical exercise, have there been any like cognitive things you've had to work on for your mental health?
Really good author from that recommended reading from my boss is Brené Brown. I was at first just like, what a load of crap. But the more I read about it, it talks a lot about vulnerability and just shedding that facade that shield that you feel like you've got up. So you might not feel like people can see your true emotions or see your true self, but not to be afraid of that. So to say what you're thinking or how you feel, because then you can get more problems if you don't.
Do you think you've had that shield up in the past?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is it something you're still working on?
Yeah. Yeah. And with my life, I feel like I wear many hats, but I'd like to have just the one hat if I can help it. Like, or maybe it's not hats, more like masks. I don't want to be, I have to change the way I am with other people. I'd just much rather be how I want to be at that time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do, but like I'm not sure. Is that inherently bad, putting on different hats or masks?
It's not always a bad thing. But then I feel like I'm not being myself, like I'm being fake in certain situations or social situations. And yeah, you got to have a filter in certain circumstances, but I'm in a part of my life that I don't really need to. Like everyone that I work with or socialize with, I can probably still behave the same way with everyone. So just giving myself permission to be myself as much as I can.
How do you actually go about manifesting that?
Just not worry about what other people think. That's a really good one. And knowing what you want. That's quite often we don't know what we want. We're just still living through the motions of daily life, of what needs to happen, not what we want. And that's something I need to work on, because I want to write music, but then I'm like, I'm too busy with work, or no, I've got to cook tea and I've got to do this, and to be able to put things aside and say, no, because I want to do this today. I wanted to finish off writing this song, so everything else can just wait. And again, that's saying no to certain things.
I kind of actually feel the opposite about that, I think. I feel like when I was younger, I was more myself.
Yeah.
But then as you go through the world, like you recognize people who act like that and talk like that, and I don't like those people.
Yep.
And that's why I like putting on different hats, and I guess.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing either. Not at all. But then I felt like I was too quiet. Always too afraid of what people would say if I said anything. So I think that's my growing up challenge. It's just to speak up and say what I mean, say what I feel.
But that's not necessarily the case for everyone.
No.
Just, okay, sure.
Not for everyone.
Some people need to
figure out what works for you.
Some people need to pipe down a bit, not speak up more.
That's right.
Okay, sure.
Because I've always been the quiet one. That's what they used to say. You got to watch out for the quiet ones.
Well, thank you for talking to me today, Bec.
Thank you, Scott.
Did you want to play a song?
Sure. Could play a short bit of a new one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to play electric or acoustic? All right, so Bec, does this song have a name?
Not yet. Still trying to get the other members to be able to play it. Sure. And we're recording it in 3 weeks' time. All right. Will you be mine in these hard times? Will you be mine in these hard times? Will you will you be there without a care? Will you be there without a care? Will you I was wondering, would you be my man? If you said no, I would understand. 'Cause I don't know if I should trouble you. 'Cause that's the last thing that I'd wanna do. Will you be mine in these hard times? Will you be mine in these hard times? Will you I was wondering, would you be my man? said no, I would understand. 'Cause I don't know if I should trouble you. 'Cause that's the last thing that I'd wanna do. Would you be mine in these hard times?
Rad. Thanks, Bec.
Cool.
You can find more of the Bear Hunt's music online at various outlets. They have an EP called Fallen on Deaf Ears and an album called To Be Honest, and they are currently working on their second album. I was actually in a music video for a Bear Hunt song last year. You can find it on YouTube. The song is Name and Shame. You can't see my face, but I am the thug in the ape mask. It's a fun and kind of violent clip. So, but it was quite a bit of fun to shoot that. A couple of notes for this episode. I said it was weird that American singer-songwriter Cat Power, aka Sian Marshall, had moved to Australia for a year or whatever and recorded with Australian band The Dirty Three. She'd actually played with them before, so she knew who they were. They'd met on tour somewhere. Cat Power came to Australia for 3 months, and the majority of her 1998 album Moonpix was recorded in only 2 days. The Transcontinental Hotel, located on Roma Street in Brisbane CBD, appears to no longer host live music. Almost all the recent events they've had advertised revolved around rugby league, craft beer, and mixed martial arts. Thank you for listening to this episode. Stay tuned for next episode, because that one will be with Lloyd Martin, Bec's other half, the guitarist in the Bear Hunt, and her fiancée. Fun fact about Lloyd, in the making of the Name and Shame video clip, during an outtake, I smashed him right in the face with his own guitar by accident, hard enough to draw blood, and the wound is still visible in a few shots that made it into the finished product. Again, sorry Lloyd, did not mean to smash you in the face. Until next week, stay smashing.